Hi, my name is Nikhil Damle. I'm from the second batch of Kirloskar Institute, which is 1999-2001 batch. I remember many different instances of being on campus, but particularly I remember one where, and I'll talk about Dr. Pai because a lot of people know who Dr. Pai is, and we used to have like a break in between the lectures, so some of us were hanging around, joking with each other. He happened to be passing by and he said, "Well, gentlemen, is that how managers are?" And he just said that much and then walked away from there. So that was the kind of subtle grooming or sort of presence of culture that we were exposed to when we were on campus. A higher standard was kind of expected all the time, right? So nobody treated us as students. And whether it is, Pai sir, whether we had somebody called Professor Swain, who was, in this particular room, we used to have post-dinner seminars, which could last 1 hour, which could last 3 hours. But it made us really kind of, stronger in terms of standing in front of people. So some of those things, I think, apart from the education, apart from the courses, it taught us that, guys, you've got to sort of buck up and be ready for the outside world. Everything you're not going to learn over here. I also remember something our director said at that point of time when we were being handed over our diplomas. And he said, whatever you've learned here in PGDM is probably good enough for the next 5 years. But don't forget, you've learned to learn over here. And if that's something that you can stick to, then, as long as your career it is something that is going to help you. So that's the kind of grounding we got. I think if I had to sort of pick a word to remind me of what KMS was, that's the word I would use, foundation. It was a strong foundation for where we went out from here. I think one of the crucial things to kind of utilize, now people tend to sort of have fun and, every year, every batches have their way of having fun. But I think one thing you've got to realize is that once you're out of here, you'll be an alumni. So the 2 years that you have over here, make sure that you really squeeze the most value that you can get out of here. Because these 2 years will be the most memorable ones that will ever be there. So go mad after the faculty, chase down the alumni, turn the whole thing upside down, but get every ounce of value out of your time over here, because that's never going to come back, but you'll remember it for the rest of your life. That would be my advice. One thing that I deeply take away from here, I think I take away the connections that I formed. Our batch B2 is kind of known for the kind of bonds that were there. Many of us are in touch, many of us are not in touch, but irrespective of when we pick up the phone and speak, it's as if just yesterday some conversation had happened and we are picking it up from there. So I think that's a very valuable sort of network to carry away from here. So those are the kind of bonds I think that I've formed, which are for a lifetime, and that's the best thing that I've taken away from here. It feels different this time because it's been after this gap in the pandemic. But previously I've come back many times, so there's a little bit of a special place. Each time it's a little bit different, but it's still sort of same in some other way.